So, in the Talmud, there's this absolutely fascinating legal case that kicks off with something incredibly small. We're talking about a single leaf, but it ends up completely reshaping an entire community's laws and traditions. It's an amazing story.
And that's really the big question here, isn't it? How on earth could one person's tiny action, eating a leaf, lead a major leader to just overturn generations of tradition? It seems kind of impossible. So let's dive in and see exactly how it all went down.
Okay, so here's how it all starts. A scholar named Rabbi Yehoshua ben Zeruz comes forward with this crucial piece of testimony. He says he personally saw his father-in-law, the great Rabbi Meir, eat one vegetable leaf in a city called Beit She'an. And here's the key detail. The leaf wasn't tithed. That means the portion that's supposed to be set aside for the priests and the poor hadn't been separated, which you absolutely had to do for produce from the Holy Land. Now, this is where things get really dramatic. The leader of the generation, Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, hears this and makes a truly monumental decision. Just based on that one observation, he declares that the entire city of Beit She'an is now exempt from all tithing laws. I mean, he basically reclassified the city's entire legal status, a huge, huge change, all because of one single leaf. So, as you can probably guess, this did not go over well with everyone. Not by a long shot. The ruling immediately sparked a major conflict, and it started right inside Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi's own family. This sets up our first big showdown, a classic battle between tradition and a leader's duty to act. Rabbi Yehuda's own family, his brothers, they confront him. And their argument is pretty straightforward. Hold on a second. Our ancestors have always treated this place as forbidden. How can you all of a sudden just permit it? They're arguing for tradition, for honoring what came before. But Rabbi Yehuda, he saw things differently. He believed his job was more than just keeping things the way they'd always been. To defend this pretty radical decision, Rabbi Yehuda pulls out this absolutely brilliant analogy from biblical history. He brings up King Hezekiah, who famously destroyed the copper serpent that Moses himself had made. Now, this thing was a sacred relic for generations, but by Hezekiah's time, people had started worshiping it as an idol. So Hezekiah made the tough call to destroy it, even though it was this priceless ancestral treasure. And this is the genius of his argument. He asks his family, why didn't the other righteous kings before Hezekiah get rid of the serpent? And his answer is just profound. He says they left it there on purpose, so that a future leader, Hezekiah, would have the opportunity to step up and fix the problem. And then he brings it home with this incredible line. So too, my ancestors left me room through which to achieve prominence. Basically, they left this problem in Beit She'an for him to solve. Okay, so just when you think Rabbi Yehuda has masterfully defended his reasoning and won the day, the story throws us a massive curveball. Another scholar steps up and doesn't just challenge the ruling, he challenges the entire premise it was built on. The whole foundation of the argument is about to get rocked. So yeah, this scholar, Yehuda, son of Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi, drops an absolute bombshell. He stands up and basically says, whoa, wait a minute. We're all debating whether Rabbi Meir's action proves Beit She'an is exempt, but doesn't the Bible itself say that Beit She'an is part of the land of Israel? If it's part of the Holy Land, then it can't be exempt. This just throws a giant wrench into the whole discussion. Well, to answer that powerful objection, the Talmud starts peeling back these amazing layers of history. It turns out the legal status of the land is way more complicated than it looks. The key to the whole puzzle is understanding that the land of Israel was actually sanctified not once, but twice, and in two very different ways. Let's break this down real quick. So you have the first time when the Israelites entered the land under Joshua. That created an initial sanctity, but, and this is crucial, it was considered temporary. That holiness was tied to them being there, and it was lost when they were exiled. It's only centuries later, when Ezra leads the return from Babylon, that the land gets sanctified a second time.
And here is the critical difference, that second sanctification under Ezra was considered permanent. But, and this is the whole point, Ezra and the leaders of that generation intentionally did not re-sanctify every single piece of territory from the original conquest. Beit She'an was part of the land the first time around, but it was deliberately left out the second time.
So why? Why on earth would they do that? Well, this to me is the most beautiful part of the whole story. They left certain areas outside the bounds of permanent holiness for a deeply compassionate reason, to provide for the poor. You see, during the Sabbatical Year, when you couldn't farm the Holy Land, these unsanctified areas could still be worked. This made sure there was a food supply for the most vulnerable people in society. And Beit She'an was one of these special zones. Okay, so now we get it. We understand the history, the legal framework. Beit She'an could be exempt. But the question remains, does the original testimony, that single leaf, actually prove it? And this is where the Talmud does something incredible. It basically puts the original testimony on trial, cross-examining it from every single angle to make sure it's absolutely airtight. So, challenge number 1. It's a pretty good one. Hey, it was just a leaf, right? You're allowed to eat a tiny, random amount like that without tithing. It's considered a casual snack. So maybe Rabbi Meir didn't do anything that proves the land was exempt. Maybe his action was totally legal either way. But here's the brilliant counterpoint. The witness didn't just see him eat a leaf. He saw him take it from a bundle of vegetables. And according to Jewish law, that changes everything. The second you bundle produce together to sell it, the entire bundle is obligated in tithes. So by eating from that bundle, Rabbi Meir was making a very clear legal statement. Okay, fine. But what about human error? I mean, maybe the great Rabbi Meir just forgot, you know? He could have had a momentary lapse, ate the leaf without thinking. Couldn't this whole thing just be a simple mistake? The answer to that one goes deep into a foundational belief. The sages operate on this principle that God doesn't let truly righteous people sin by accident. It's like a spiritual safety net. The Talmud says God even protects the animals of the righteous from messing up, let alone the people themselves. So a simple mistake? That's ruled out. All right, next challenge. This one's a bit more technical. Is it possible that Rabbi Meir mentally designated some other produce he owned, maybe back at his house, to serve as the tithe for this one leaf? If he did that, his action would be totally fine, and it wouldn't prove anything about Beit She'an at all. And again, the sages have an answer based on legal norms. They basically say, while that's technically possible, it's considered really bad practice. And a respected scholar, you just don't suspect them of using sketchy legal workarounds like that. They're expected to do things by the book. This is it, the final, most direct attack. Let's forget all the technicalities for a second. What if the witness, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Zeruz, was just wrong? Maybe he didn't see it correctly. Maybe his memory is playing tricks on him. And the final answer comes down to the integrity of the source. The sages basically say, look at the great man who is testifying. The reputation and character of the witness himself are the ultimate guarantee. A person of his stature just wouldn't make a mistake observing and reporting something this important. The evidence holds, it's solid. So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's just amazing how much you could unpack from one single moment. An act that seems so trivial, eating one leaf, was put under this intense logical microscope. And through that whole process, it revealed a profound truth. Not just about the law, but about a system designed with this deep, built-in compassion for the poorest members of the community. And that leaves us with a timeless question, doesn't it? It's the same one Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi had to face directly. The story really challenges us to think about our own lives, our own communities. It forces us to ask, when does honoring the past, honoring tradition, actually get in the way of us making the future better? And when is it our turn, like it was for Hezekiah and Rabbi Yehuda, to find that room our ancestors left for us and, well, get to work?